Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. I'm really glad everybody could join us. So today we're going to be diving in the show on how to build an excellent business credit score, and actually Paydex score, in less than 60 days. Now, before we jump in, let me first tell you that I am not associated with Dun Bradstreet. I don't work with Dun Bradstreet. I don't work with Dun Bradstreet credibility. So I like to get at that out there. Whenever I'm talking about Dun Bradstreet, Experian, Equifax, I just like to let you know that I'm not directly associated with the reporting agencies. I want to clarify that before I jump in and kind of decode this. But I will be discussing with you today exactly how Dun & Bradstreet's Paydex score works. I'm actually going to be talking about business credit scoring in general, business credit building, and talking to you about exactly how you can build an excellent business credit score or a Paydex score with Dun & Bradstreet in less than 2 months. And as a matter of fact, this isn't just applicable to Dun & Bradstreet. Although we'll be talking about how the Paydex score works, breaking that down, how this is possible, in reality, you can actually do exactly what I'm talking about, following the exact same steps to also build an excellent business credit score with Experian commercial and Equifax commercial with the steps that I'm going to outline today. So thank you very much for joining us. I promise you I will make the most use of your time. Let me introduce myself before we jump in and get too far. My name is Ty Crandall. I'm actually the CEO of CreditSuite. And at CreditSuite, we help people build business credit. We actually help companies get business credit. We also help them get financing to start, build, and grow. We've helped thousands and thousands and thousands of clients build their business credit. So if you know anything about CreditSuite, anything about me, you'll know I have a pretty good reputation out there for knowing what I'm talking about when it comes to business credit building. I won't be talking to you about, a big sales pitch today. Today is just really mostly about getting you very good quality information on exactly the steps to execute to get this done. If you want more information when we're done about building business credit, feel free to check out our website. We've got a free guide, creditsuite.com/EIN. That's creditsuite, SUITE.com/EIN. You can get a great free guide on kind of mapping out the 4 steps that you could actually take to build business credit that'll expand off of what I'm actually talking about today. So before we dive in, first of all, let's talk about Dun & Bradstreet. Now, as I said in the beginning, a reminder, I don't work for Dun & Bradstreet. I'm not directly affiliated with Dun & Bradstreet. I just want to disclose that before I kind of dive in and tell you a little bit more about who they are. So if you're not familiar with Dun & Bradstreet, and before I get too far in, let me also mention that you might notice I have a tendency to talk kind of fast. For one, that's how my brain just processes information. And for two, I get very excited when I talk about topics like building business credit. And when I get excited, I have a tendency to talk a little bit fast. So I'll try to slow myself down, but be patient with me. The good news is that I'm going to get you a lot of information in a short period of time if you can keep up here. So Dun & Bradstreet is the biggest and major business credit reporting agency. They were actually created back in 1841. Okay, they were created well before the first consumer credit reporting agency ever showed up on the scene. So this is interesting because a lot of people tend to think that business credit is new. They tend to think that business credit building is in its infancy, but the reality is that the business reporting agencies led by Dun & Bradstreet have been around decades before consumer credit even existed. As a matter of fact, there's been 5 U.S. presidents that have actually worked for Dun & Bradstreet in their history when they were the mercantile company before they actually merged to become Dun & Bradstreet. So they actually hold the largest supply of worldwide business information with over 230 million records on file. Now, it's interesting to know that they do handle records worldwide. And if you wanted to get a comparison, Experian Commercials, the next biggest reporting agency, they have about 100 million records on file. So nowhere close to where Dun & Bradstreet is. So the D&B Paydex score is the main business credit score used in the business world. Okay, it's known as the Paydex score, and it's provided by Dun & Bradstreet. You've probably heard this before, where somebody might say to you, I have an 80 Paydex score. Well, what that simply means is it means they have a good score with the best known, most well-known, most popular business credit reporting agency that exists, which is D&B. So from D&B, quote, the D&B Paydex score is D&B's unique dollar-weighted numerical indicator of how a firm paid its bills over the past year based on trade experiences reported to D&B by various vendors. Now, I'm going to go to the next slide, but I might come back here because I just want to see, okay, so I am going to break that down. I wanted to make sure that I didn't need to break it down on that slide. So in their own definition, dollar weighted means that D&B gives more weight to accounts with higher limits than ones with lower limits. So what this means is it means if you have two accounts on your business credit report. One is a revolving credit card with a $1,000 limit. One is a revolving credit card with a $10,000 limit. It means that it weighs the $10,000 limit into the score heavier than it does the 1,000 credit limit. Now, why that's important is if you're ever going to have to go late on an account, you always want to go late on the accounts with the lowest limits because that will do the least amount of damage. When you go late and have a late reported on a higher limit account, it will do more damage to your score because they weight those higher limit accounts higher into the score calculation than they do lower limit accounts. Now, another part of their definition is how a firm paid its bills over the past year. This means a score is based on past performance as the main driver. Now, I've got other videos you can check out on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/CreditSuite. You can see there that we go through and we break down how D&B's credit scores work. They have two different types of scores. They have predictive scores that try to predict people's risk based on a lot of other different information, demographic information, firmographic information, public records, etc. Then they have what are known as performance credit scores, which are strictly based on the information they have internal on past performance. So this is important to you because they're not trying to predict your risk based on all the information from these outside sources. Instead, what they're doing is they're giving a score based on your past performance with information they already have. So that means the key here is that you want to make sure that you have reports with D&B, that you are actually paying your bills as agreed, because if you have accounts with D&B and pay your bills as agreed, that's what they're basing the actual Paydex score on. So it's simply based on how you pay your bills. And this is what's great about the Paydex score. Actually, this is what's beautiful about business credit. You see, in the consumer credit world, scores are based on all these complicated factors. But in the business credit world, the main score is the Paydex score is based on how you pay your bills. So all you have to do to get a good score is pay your bills on time. And if you do that on accounts that report to D&B, then that's what will actually get you a positive credit score. So the Paydex score, like all other business credit scores, is for a business and it's in the business name. So this is based on basically the business itself's ability to pay its actual bills, not you as the business owner. So with business credit, the business builds its own credit profile and score. And sometimes this is confusing to a lot of people. As a matter of fact, when we run ads on places like Facebook, it's interesting because I'll have all kinds of crazy comments of people that say, well, this is a scam, this isn't legitimate. But it is very legitimate. Just as your social security number has a credit report linked to you as an individual, your business has its own credit profile and score that's linked to its EIN number. So that's what business credit scores are. That's what they're based on. It's based on your business's ability to pay, not you as a consumer, or not you as the business owner. So what happens is once you establish this initial business credit profile and score through trade lines, which I'll show you how to do that, then the business starts qualifying for greater and greater amounts of credit. So consumer credit's much the same. You start with no credit, you get some items that report to consumer reporting agencies, you pay them as agreed. Then what happens is you have a good score. You get more credit. Your limits increase and increase and increase. Well, this happens in the business world as well, but limits increase much faster in the business world than they do in the consumer world. It's very practical to get $10,000 limit store credit cards in the business world within 60 to 90 days following the steps I'm going to outline here, and to get those kind of limits on cash like Visa, MasterCard, cash credit cards within 4 to 6 months. You could never do anything like that in the consumer world, but very possible in the business world because of what I'm going to teach you here today about how the Paydex score actually works. So when we talk about business credit scores, a business credit score is a mathematical model that you use to depict a business's risk of going 90 days late on an account within the next 12 months. Now, business credit scores access a business's ability to pay, not the business owners. So why is this important? It's important because your consumer credit doesn't matter, period. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you today how to build business credit, leaving your consumer credit social security number off the credit report. So if you're off the application. So if you apply for credit, leave your social off an application, they can't even pull your personal credit, which means everything I'm about to show you of how to obtain and get business credit is completely independent from your consumer credit. They're not even going to look at your consumer credit to make the decision to give you credit and to approve you for business credit unless you choose to give them your social. And if you gave them your social on the application, they will pull your personal credit. They will use it as a factor into the decision, and you will be giving them a personal guarantee. But if you follow the steps we're going to talk about, then you'll be able to do that without the social being on the application. No personal credit check takes place. No personal guarantee is actually provided at that point. So the business can use its credit scores to qualify for revolving store credit cards like Staples, Lowe's, Sam's Club, Costco, Walmart, even MasterCard, Visa, American Express. So most major retail stores offer business credit without a personal guarantee. Almost all of them do. Okay, Target even used to, except they just got rid of the no personal guarantee component. So almost all retail stores offer business credit with no personal guarantee. Most people haven't heard of this because it's not promoted. When you go to Walmart, when you go to Target, they give you a 20% discount if you apply for their credit card right there as you go through the checkout line. But they've never done that for you for business credit. You've never even seen signage of them promoting that you can get a business credit card without a personal guarantee. But almost all major retail stores do. I could list them all on here. I could list Costco. I could list Chevron, and I could list BP, I think, which is actually on here. Almost all major retail stores, Amazon, Best Buy, almost all major retailers offer no personal guarantee business credit. You can even get MasterCard, Visa, American Express credit as well. So the business can also qualify for credit lines and loans, but you have to be careful here. A lot of high dollar amount loans, even 25, 50,000, 100,000, they're going to want a personal guarantee from you unless you have ridiculously well-established business credit. So when you talk about building business credit, you're primarily building business credit to get store credit cards and cash credit cards. You also can get some equipment financing. You also can get some even auto vehicle leasing at some sources where they'll look at your personal credit, but they'll use business credit as the driver, and you can get that without a personal guarantee. But primarily, business credit is used to get credit without a personal guarantee. You can sometimes get loans and credit lines when it's ridiculously well established. So these business credit scores are always reviewed when you apply for a business loan, credit card, or any other type of business financing. And this is something very important for you to know. What happens is, in the consumer world, there's a law called the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And the Fair Credit Reporting Act says that if somebody pulls your credit, they have to tell you they pulled their credit. And well, you have to give them permission, first of all. Then they have to tell you that they pulled your credit and what information they used to determine if you got denied, for example. But in the business world, there is no Fair Credit Reporting Act. So what happens is when you apply for a bank loan, when you go to On Deck and apply for a cash advance, when you apply with your bank for a business credit card, they are pulling your business credit in all of those factors. So I'll give you an example. We had a client come to us that has 730 consumer credit scores, has a business that's very well established, does I think $3-4 million a year in business. They keep a lot of money in their bank account, over $100,000 they keep in their bank account at any given time. They applied for a $10,000 business credit card and got denied. And the reason on the denial is business credit. And I know this because we get a lot of these denials. Our clients, when they come to us initially, we ask for them. We say, well, do you have a copy of that denial letter? And in a lot of webinars, I'll actually show those denials. So we have tons of denial letters from merchant cash advance companies like On Deck, from actual big banks, from even business credit cards at places like Regions and Bank of America and Chase, where people are applying, even with good credit, even with money in the bank, and still get denied because they don't have their actual business credit established. So they are pulling your business credit for all business credit cards and loans. And if you get denied, in large part, they might not tell you. A lot of the reason is probably because your business doesn't have a well-established credit to qualify. So the Paydex score ranges from 0 to 100. And 100 is the best score a business can obtain. 100 is perfect. It's like the equivalent of an 850 credit score in the consumer world. Now, a score of 80 or higher is considered good or healthy credit. And 80 literally means, as you're about to see, that this means that you just pay your bills on time. So if you pay your bills on time or early, you'll have a good Paydex score. It all comes down to how you actually pay. So a business can obtain a good business Paydex score by ensuring payments are made promptly to suppliers and vendors. That's the key. So you can get a good score as long as you pay your bills that are reported on your credit report, mostly suppliers, vendors, credit issuers, on time or early. Now, personal credit score in comparison, and I'll show you how these two differ from each other, has 5 actual factors. Here's how your FICO score works. If you didn't know this, you know this now. 35% of your score's payment history, 30% utilization, 15% length of credit history, 10% accumulation of new credit, 10% credit mix. Now, I'm going to show you this compared to a Paydex score, but before I do, let me just give you some insight right here. Utilization on your personal credit is almost as much of a factor as your payment history. Look, the math is the math. 35% payment history, 30% utilization. This means if you overutilize the credit you have, you damage your scores almost as much on the consumer side as if you paid your bill late. Not my opinion. You can look. That's the math. So what does overutilize mean? It's much lower than you may think it is. If you have a consumer credit card with a limit of $1,000, 30% of that limit, when you exceed 30%, you damage your scores. You start to damage the scores. So if you have a $1,000 limit consumer credit card and you owe more than $300 balance on that card, you are damaging your scores. How bad are you hurting your scores? Look at the math, almost as much as if you paid the account late. The further you are overutilized on that account, the lower your scores will be. Okay, I've owned a mortgage company. I can tell you that there was many people that didn't qualify because they owed $300, $400, $500, $600 more on a credit card than they should have, and that kept them from getting a home loan because utilization is so important. Why does this matter to you as a business owner? Simple. Most people try to use their consumer credit to fund and bootstrap their business. It completely crushes your personal credit when you do this. Personal credit was never designed to be used for a business. And when you use it to try to fund a business, then what happens is you damage or lower your personal credit scores as a result. So this is why you want to build business credit, one of many reasons, because when you use personal credit to build your business, you overutilize accounts. And then as a result of that, you damage your scores to a point where you can't get loans on the personal or business side. The other thing to mention here is that look at how these kind of play off each other. Payment history. Well, in order to do that and get a good payment history, you have to get accounts. But when you apply for new accounts, you lower the part of your score which has to do with accumulation of new credit or inquiries. So mix of credit. You need to have, it's 10% of your score. You need to have 1 to 2 mortgages. You need to have 1 or 2 car loans. But the minute you put a mortgage or car loan on your consumer credit report, your scores drop because that loan is showing maxed out. What you owe is what you borrowed. It affects your utilization. You lower that part of your scores. When you get a mortgage or car loan on your credit, you could lower your scores 100 points just because of that utilization, which isn't just revolving accounts, it's all accounts. So the bottom line is when you try to work on improving one part of your FICO, you damage another part. This is why it takes many years of well-disciplined borrowing to get a good FICO score. But look at how this works in the Paydex score or in the business world. Here's how your Paydex score works. If you pay your bill early, then you get a 100 score. If you pay it within the early discount period, you get a 90 score. If you pay it on time, you get an 80. And if you pay it 90 days late, you get a 30. So Paydex isn't like FICO in the sense that if you work on improving one aspect of the score, you damage another. And then you play this back and forth game for decades of your life until you get old enough where you have an 800 type score because you've got all that formula worked out perfectly. In the business world, if you just pay your bills as agreed, you get a good score. So because of this, all you really have to do to get an excellent Paydex score is you need to make sure you get accounts that report to D&B. You need to pay them on time or early. And when you do this, then within a couple months, 60 days or less, you're going to come in and get an excellent Paydex score just because you got accounts that reported and paid your bills on time. So much easier to get a good credit score and get massive amounts of credit limit or massive amounts of credit with high limits in your business name because of how the Paydex score is actually set up. So how do you do this? Well, let's walk through the steps. The first step is you've got to focus on the basics of setting up your business. So you can't use a home address, P.O. box, UPS address when applying for credit, or you'll often get denied. I just had one of these letters come into my email box today from Capital One. The company applied for a Capital One business credit card. Capital One sent them a letter back and said, we aren't able to automatically approve you because we need your business address. We don't need a P.O. box address. They used a UPS address. They thought this looks like a legitimate address. They used a UPS address on the application. They got denied They didn't get denied. They just said, hey, look, this isn't a real business address. We need your real physical business address to actually get you approved. Well, there's nothing they can do because they don't have a real physical business address. They're operating out of the home. They used a UPS address. So this is why you want to use a solution like a virtual address from a company like Regis, so you have a real physical address. If you don't use a real physical address, if you use a PO box, a UPS address, or if you use a home address, then you're either going to get denied in most cases, or you're going to get one of those letters just like a customer actually got before they came into us to build business credit that says, hey, look, we couldn't approve you because it doesn't look like you have a real business address. So this is very important. The address should be the same on all of your documents. So your corporation documents, your bank statement, all public records, all records they can find on your business should have the same address. It needs to be a physical address. One of the first real steps of building business credits to set up your business entity as well. You need to do a corporation or an LLC. You do not want to do a sole proprietorship. You do not want to do an actual partnership, because if you do a sole proprietorship or partnership, you'll always be liable for what happens in your business. So by definition, entities really define two things: how you're going to actually pay taxes and liability for your company. You want to choose entities that have the least amount of liability. So if you're looking at this and going, well, wait a second, or you're hearing this going, wait a second, I'm a sole proprietor, I'm a partnership, you can still change your entity. You could talk to your accountant and figure out how to change your entity. It's not a difficult thing to do. But the bottom line is, if you want to be a corporation or LLC, that's what eliminates your personal liability in your business. You can't be a partnership and go get business credit and expect not to be liable, because a partnership, by definition, you are the business. So you'll always be liable. You need to separate that liability. It's very important for your business. Now, you can do this at your Secretary of State website. So you can go right to your Secretary of State website and get set up your entity. It's fairly cheap, very easy to do. Some states like California, it's expensive. It's like $600. Most states like Florida, it's only $60 to get this done. It's not a difficult or expensive process to actually get done. Now, price to do this, again, depends on your state. Florida, $60. California, $600. Big change in how much these things actually cost to do. So the first step to set up your business is to think of a company name and then set up your entity with the Secretary of State in your state. So you might want to write down 2-3 different business names. Hey, I want to choose CreditSuite. Then you go to your Secretary of State website, do a search to see if anybody else has that name. If they don't have that name, then you want to go ahead and start the process of setting up your entity. Usually a very fast process to do. Okay, I can set up an entity in the state of Florida in less than 5 minutes on their website for a cost of $60. So first look to see if your desired name's available. And if so, then if not, then go ahead and register for that name. If so, then pick a different name. So next, set up your EIN number for free from irs.gov website. Okay, so on irs.gov, don't go to any other website because they'll charge you for your EIN and it should cost you absolutely nothing. Then use the corporation papers and the EIN to set up your actual business bank account. Now, you'll need to use your social when getting your EIN, and you might need to use a real physical address, not a virtual address. So when I'm talking to you about using a virtual address, a virtual address instead of a PO box, you can't do this when you get your EIN. Another question a lot of people say is they say, well, wait a minute, how can I build business credit without my social being on the application? They ask for the social on the EIN application. Yes, they will. That's okay. That by itself doesn't make you personally liable for what happens in the business. So you can add the social. You'll have to add the social when you get the EIN number. They won't let you set up a company in the United States unless you have something like a social security number. So you've got to have a social security number. And I say like because if you are a foreign entity, and I'll do a webinar or a show on this a different time, there is a way that you can use something else in lieu of a social security number, but that's a whole other show that we'll do that on. So they're going to ask you for the social when you set up your EIN. That's okay. Here's a Google screenshot of what you get. When you click EIN number into Google, see the very first thing that pops up? Federal tax ID number. And I'm pointing with my finger instead of my mouse. So you obviously can't see that. This is one that will charge you for this. Okay, look down here. Number 2. irs.gov. You want to go to one with an irs.gov URL. This is the only way that you're going to get an EIN number without actually paying for that EIN number. So then use that corporation, the corporation papers you'll get. So you file the corporation online, they give you papers. They'll even give you the option of downloading them right away. Then you use those and you get your EIN set up. Once you have your EIN set up at irs.gov, which costs nothing, then the next step is that you've got to get your actual business bank account set up. Usually only cost about 25 to 50 bucks to actually set up your business bank account and actually do deposit there. And even if you've had issues in the past with your bank, your business won't be affected. So a lot of people are nervous about this. They go, man, I don't know how I'm going to set up a business bank account, because the truth is I had problems on the personal side and now I'm in check systems and I'm never going to get a business credit account. Well, don't worry about it. If you're in check systems because you've had some kind of default or problem on the consumer side, you can still set up your business without an issue. We've helped clients through this process. So even if you burned a bank before and you're in it's the in check systems where you actually are prevented or it's difficult to get a consumer bank account, you can still get a business credit or business account even if you've had that problem in the past. So don't feel that that's a barrier. It's not. Okay, get any required licensing for your industry, state, county, federal government. Look, you're going to have a hard time getting credit if they go to look and they see that you're an unlicensed entity. And let me tell you what's happening. Nowadays, everything is shifting online. And I'll give you an example. You've probably heard of the Rocket Mortgage from Quicken. Well, I actually happened to be in Washington, D.C. last week, and I happened to run into the lobbyist for Quicken Loans. And I spent like a ton of time with him, and I was very interested in a lot of things. And, I said, how does this work with this Rocket Mortgage? And he said, it's the most unbelievable thing you've ever seen. What happens in our system is our system pulls all the data now from all these other places and brings it in automatically. So what are you talking about? He goes, your tax returns, everything now, it goes out, it spiders, it finds it and brings it in our system. I said, so you're telling me I can get a mortgage without even supplying my tax returns? He goes, we don't need you to. We already pulled your tax returns in automatically. Guys, this is where the future is headed. So what happens is your licensing, your address, all these things, these computer systems are now checking. They're making sure it's a real physical address. They're making sure you have the proper licensing. And all of that is now being brought into these systems to determine your approval or denial. So this is why you have to meet this criteria and get your business started the right way. Because if you don't, then what happens is when you go to apply, all these spiders that are put out there to check and make sure online that you have your business set up the right way, that you have a real physical address and phone number, and all of these things are set up automatically, are pulled into the computer, and they know right away whether or not you meet the criteria or not. And I gave you that example of a prospect that came into us, and they came into us to build business credit because this exact same thing happened. They went to their bank, they had a virtual address, or excuse me, they had a business UPS address, and automatically when they applied for, not their bank, Capital One system said, we need more information to make a decision. We're going to send you something in the mail. That's because Capital One's computer system picked up that they were using a UPS address. So all this happens now by computers. So you've got to make sure that you meet this criteria. Now you want to next set up your website and email address with GoDaddy and a site like monstertemplate.com. Look, I don't care where you have your hosting. I don't care where you buy your domain or your email address, but I use GoDaddy. That's who I use. They're cheap. For 12 bucks, you can get a URL. You can actually get an email address to go with that. You can go to a place like monstertemplate.com to get a website template, and use a place like upwork.com to have somebody put up a professional website for you super cheap. Now, don't get me wrong. If you look at our website, CreditSuite.com, obviously wasn't for monstertemplate.com. When you get a really professional website, you'll spend $5,000 to $25,000 or more for it. But if you're just getting started in the early stages, it's easy to go to GoDaddy, spend 12 bucks for a URL. They'll give you a professional email address as well. And now you can go get a website template at a place like Monster Template, use a site like Upwork to come in and put up your website for very little money. It's so cheap to do. Why am I telling you this? Because you can't have some lame website or no website up and then go to try to fill out an application for a $5,000 credit card. It won't work. They're looking to make sure you're credible. They want to make sure you have a real physical address. They want to make sure that you have the proper licensing. They want to make sure you're using a professional email address. Like mine is ty@creditsuite.com. That's linked to my URL. They want to make sure you have a professional website. So there's a cheap and easy way to do it. And again, as your business grows, you can focus on spending more money in those areas. Set up your phone number with a company like RingCentral. Again, I'm recommending companies we use. That's why I'm actually recommending them. We actually use Phonality for our phones, but they're very expensive. When it's not that they're very expensive, they can be very expensive, $400 to $1,000 a month or more. Maybe not something you want to do in the beginning stages, but RingCentral is fantastic. You get a local number, you get a toll-free number, you get a fax number, and RingCentral will give it all to you in one number for like $15. They'll give you a toll-free number and a fax number in one number, and they'll also give you a local number. It's not very expensive. You need to have a professional phone number. You need to have a fax number. You need to have a toll-free number. You can't use a cell phone. You can't use a home phone because remember, as I said, these computer spiders are checking to make sure that the phone number you're giving them is a real physical phone number for a business, not associated with your actual home or cell phone. Now, people ask, well, what about a Google phone number? Online virtual business phone numbers are fine. You just can't use a mobile phone or a home phone on that application or it'll get you denied. And again, you can get things like your fax number, toll-free number all in one. You can even get a local number, which it all rings to the same place. Okay, and you want to set up your local number with 411, very important. We use a service called List Yourself. List Yourself, from last time I heard, charges about $300 a year to get listed with 411. This I thought was simple. I used to think you could just go to 411 and get your phone number listed. Apparently you can't. It's not very simple at all to do. But a company like List Yourself will get you listed with 411. There is a cost per month. It equates to about $300. Now, is there a way around it? Not that I know of. Okay, what I can tell you is I can tell you that, we pay for it. So with our clients, we pay for List Yourself as well. Okay, so I think you're probably going to have to pay for it because I know it cost us to do that actually for our clients as well. So 411 is essential because initial credit issuers want verification that your business is legit. 411 is one of the most important things you could do because when we get into initial creditors that can approve you, which we'll talk about here a little bit later, they want EIN and 411. Those are the two things they're looking for. So if you think you can skip this step, you can't skip this step. You'll never even get off the ground because to get initial credit with initial vendors when you have none, they're going to look for a 411. They're going to look for EIN. If you don't have these, you will not get set up. There's also a ton of other places you can have your business listed as well, all of which make you easy to find and show that you're actual credible. Now, I don't want to actually get in that today, but I will show you that right here on our actual YouTube channel, which is creditsuite.com / or youtube.com/creditsuite, you'll find that we have a video, get your business listed correctly to meet credit issuer and lender criteria, or you'll get denied. And this will actually show you everywhere that you can go to get your actual business listed. So obtaining a DUNS number is the first step towards getting an actual business credit score with Dun Bradstreet. So one of the first things you have to do to get a Paydex score with them is you've got to actually get this DUNS number. Okay, so the DUNS number comes from Dun & Bradstreet. This is not what your business credit is linked to. Your business credit's linked to your EIN, but your DUNS number is the first step with Dun & Bradstreet to actually get your business credit set up. Now, this is called the Data Universal Numbering System, or DUNS. It's a business identifier code provided by Dun & Bradstreet. You'll often see I put DUNS without the dashes. That's actually improper. It's actually DUNS with the dashes in there, okay, separating the Data Universal Numbering System. It's provided by D&B. Okay, this goes all the way back to 1963, and D&B has this worldwide. So what's interesting about the DUNS number is that this is used in other countries. It's used by foreign governments. It's used by trade associations. Okay, so this is a 9-digit number issued by D&B and assigned to every business location in their database, each having a unique, separate, and distinct operation for the purpose. Why I put this up here, and this is their definition, is because D&B assigns a DUNS based on an address. So you don't want to try to use a business address for multiple businesses, or you will have really big problems because they'll merge your file together. It creates all kinds of issues, potentially. So you want to try to make sure that you're using a virtual address that nobody else is using, which most are set up that way, or that you're not trying to piggyback off your buddy's business and use their address because that could mess you up, especially when it comes to your DUNS number being assigned to that address. So every business must have a DUNS number before D&B will assign a Paydex, period. They will not give you a Paydex score unless you actually have this DUNS number set up. Okay, so the DUNS number is then preferred method worldwide of identifying an actual business. Okay, unlike national EIN numbers, a DUNS number may be issued to any business worldwide. So an EIN number is only used in your actual state. A DUNS number is used worldwide. So Australian government can pull your DUNS number and recognize your business. The Australian government can't pull your EIN number and recognize your business internally. Not that they couldn't go to Google and do this. I'm just saying that the EIN isn't recognized in Australia, but the DUNS number actually is. It's used by many foreign governments, the US and Australian government, European commissions, even the United Nations. Now, why is this important to you? Because the government requires the DUNS number to do any kind of work with them, such as a contractor. So because of this, the DUNS number has to be provided for free because they can't make you pay for it if you're coming in and need it for something to be like a contractor. So there are ways to get your DUNS number without paying for it because it is required by some government entities like US and Australia. So just even for contractors, if you go to do contractor work for the United Nations, you would need to have a DUNS number before they'd even hire you. So because of that, that's what makes it where you can get this DUNS number without paying money to actually get it. So there's 50 global industry and trade associations that also recommend or use the DUNS number. Okay, so the DUNS number you can get for free, even though D&B Credibility does offer it as part of their credit builder package. Now, Dun & Bradstreet does offer a credit builder package, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. It has all kinds of benefits, and it has some drawbacks too, so things you should know about. And they will wrap this DUNS number into that package and give it to you sooner. They'll give it to you right away. If you buy their credit builder, they'll give you your DUNS immediately. If you don't buy that credit builder, it'll take you about 30 days to actually get that DUNS number. So first, you'll need to see if you have a DUNS number already by checking iUpdate. Next, you go through the simple online process with D&B to get your DUNS number. So you can go to dnb.com/get a DUNS number, all separated by a dash. Okay, you can even go to Dun & Bradstreet's iUpdate system to see if you have a DUNS number, and right there, it will lead you in to how to get a DUNS number. So you can go right to D&B's website to get your DUNS number, to check and see if your business is located in iUpdate, to give them the information to get put in to iUpdate, and to actually get your DUNS number at no cost. But again, D&B Credibility will also talk to you about buying that as part of a credit builder package that they offer. So when you complete your information online, D&B Credibility will try to call you and offer you the credit builder package. This is what happens. So when you fill out your information online, you're going to get a call from Dun & Bradstreet Credibility, different company than Dun & Bradstreet, and they will talk to you about buying their credit builder package. It's not needed to get your DUNS number, Paydex Score, or to activate your profile with D&B. Once you get your DUNS number for free, which I just talked to you about how to do that, well, then what will happen is once you get credit that reports to Dun & Bradstreet, then that'll give you a Paydex score. Then you can activate your credit profile with D&B automatically because that credit is actually reporting. Okay, so also keep in mind, D&B Credibility is a separate entity from D&B themselves. So for your free DUNS number, you'll need to wait 30 days for it to be delivered by mail. Okay, you can expedite this, but to do so, you'll need to pay for the D&B Credibility Credit Builder. D&B Credibility Credit Builder is a program where they'll help supplement existing accounts you have onto your actual business credit report. And as part of that package with enrolling from them, they'll even give you access to your DUNS number immediately. You don't need to wait. So if you want your free DUNS, you got to wait a month to get it. If you don't want to wait a month, then you've got to get set up with their D&B Credibility Credit Builder, because that is how you get it immediately without waiting. And it'll cost you as little as $13.99 annually or $139 a month. And this is from that same site, dnb.com/credit-builder. That's D and the word and the letter B.com/credit-builder. And if you look on their website, you'll see exactly what I put here, that you can get it for $13.99 annually or $139 a month. Again, I don't work for Dun & Bradstreet. I don't represent Dun & Bradstreet or Dun & Bradstreet Credibility, and this could change at any given time. Okay, this was just the pricing when I just went on there a few days ago, but this absolutely can change at different times. Okay, so beyond that, again, you do not need to buy this. You can actually get that for free. We talked about how to do that. So the credit builder does include credit monitoring. It also includes a way for you to add some of your existing vendors to your actual D&B report. Now, keep in mind, most vendors you might want to add are not allowed to be added by D&B, and I'll give you some quotes from their website that I use for research for this actual show to explain to you why that is. But the bottom line is that they'll give you access to your credit monitoring. They'll give you access to a way to get your DUNS number for free, or to get your DUNS number immediately. And then they'll also let you add accounts to your D&B report, not Experian or Equifax, but to your actual D&B report. Now, this comes from Dun Bradstreet's website, Dun Bradstreet Credibility. Some trade references may not qualify for the following reasons. D&B works together with thousands of nationwide vendors that report payment experiences on a regular basis. These providers have requested to remain anonymous and cannot be added by a consumer for trade reference. Some types of companies do not respond to D&B requests. Okay, D&B will make 6 attempts to contact the company that's been selected. Okay, however, a customer may resubmit references at any time. So this is a problem I've heard in the past. Some people try to get references added to their D&B reports, and D&B isn't able to make contact with them. Certain companies have proven over time to be less trustworthy, which is another reason that they may not let you add accounts. And again, here's exactly where I got this information. dndb.com/glossary/trade-references. It's exactly where I got this information. Copy and paste. The following kinds of trade references are amongst those that are not acceptable by D&B. Payments that have not yet been made. Payments to businesses that have shared principals or some other type of legal ownership relationship. Financial services, banks, credit unions, insurance companies, bank references, utilities and gas companies, credit card companies, landlords, virtual offices, credit counseling or registered agents, international companies, businesses with an unknown SIC. So here's a list from them of accounts that can't be added as part of their credit builder package. Now, I'm telling you this because Credit Builder in theory sounds really good. You go in, you get accounts, they add them to their D&B report. But before you do this, you should know the accounts that won't qualify so you don't waste their time trying to get them added. And so when you're trying to make sure that the D&B Credit Builder product is right for you, you know what they can and can't add to help you with the right information to make the best decision. Okay, and again, I just showed you where this was, dnb.com/glossary/trade.references. Okay, so the Credit Builder includes credit monitoring. It also includes, and I already actually used that slide, as you build your credit, it's essential that you monitor your progress. For this reason, you should set up monitoring with at least D&B experience. So in the business world, you really can't get, and I have no idea why I have a picture of consumer credit monitoring on my actual slide here, but that's a whole different conversation for a different day. So you shouldn't set up, you can set up monitoring with Equifax Commercial, but the reality is most sources use Dun & Bradstreet, most sources use Experian. So you want to at least get reports set up with D&B and Experian because these are the ones most commonly used by credit issuers. Equifax isn't essential. You may want to look at your Equifax report from time to time, but I wouldn't pay a bunch of money to get your Equifax report because it's not as often used. I would. It's worth your time and money to spend the money to get D&B and Experian reports, because the bottom line is that just like you monitor your consumer credit, you should be monitoring your business credit. Anybody can see this information. Keep this in mind. So when it comes to business credit, it's not like consumer credit where you only get your credit reviewed when you apply for credit. In the business world, anybody can look at your business credit reports and scores. Anybody can look at it. I can look at it. Your competition can. Your prospects can. Your clients can. Financial investors into your company, people that you might want to sell your business. Any of these people can see what's on your business credit report without your permission. So you should know what's on your business credit reports just because anybody else can access that information. We put a link to all 3 of these on our website, CreditSuite.com/reports. You can go to them direct. You can type in Dun & Bradstreet Credit Monitoring or Experian Business Credit Monitoring. You can go right to their website and actually get set up with a credit monitoring. So many people ask that we just put it in one link, CreditSuite.com/reports. And all we're doing there is just linking directly to those reporting agency sites. So you can go to them direct, or you can find them on our website either way. So again, this information I'm going to tell you might change. So what happens is, I'll put something like that that's out here on a live show. It'll go on our YouTube channel. A year, 2 years later, it'll have thousands of views. And then the information changes and somebody emails us and goes, well, Reliable Office Supplies doesn't exist anymore because they got bought by Office Depot, for example. Well, these things change all the time. But as of right now, this moment in time, this is exactly information that where you can get vendor accounts to get set up. So you've got to start building business credit using what are called vendor accounts. Now, these are accounts who offer terms such as net 30. These are not revolving accounts. These are creditors that will give you net 30 terms, which means you got 30 days to pay the full bill back in its entirety, not like revolving accounts where you can make a minimum payment. You must only work with credit issuers who do two things. One, give you credit when you have none. Two, report that credit to the business credit reporting agencies. When I say CRAs, that's credit reporting agencies. So when you first start building business credit, you're only looking for two things that a vendor must meet. One, they'll give you credit when you have no business credit established without providing your social, and they report to the business credit reporting agencies. Most sources don't. Okay, and most sources don't because there's a volume requirement. So for example, some of the reporting agencies might require somebody to have 2,000 accounts monthly for them to report that data to D&B, Experian, Equifax, whatever their requirements may be. So most companies don't have 2,000 clients to report monthly, so they can't report to the business credit reporting agencies. So you've got to find accounts that will give you credit when you have none, and that they actually report it to the business credit reporting agencies. Do not put your social on the application when you apply for any type of business credit. If you do, two things will happen. They'll pull your personal credit. You'll be adding a personal guarantee. If you don't want your personal credit looked at, if you don't want to provide a personal guarantee, don't provide your social. If you do, then go ahead and provide your social, because that's exactly what they'll do, is pull your personal credit and attach a personal guarantee. If you are supplying a personal guarantee and your personal credit will be pulled, then you may to make that approval decision. Actually, this is the wrong way. If you do and are supplying a personal social security number, then you'll be adding a personal guarantee. So the bottom line is, if you don't want there to be a personal guarantee or social, don't put your social on the app. If you put a social on the app, there's going to be a personal credit check. There's going to be a personal guarantee. A real business credit card for your EIN doesn't need your social to qualify. This is something that you'll hear a lot of people say differently, and that's okay. Some people call this commercial credit. Some people call this business credit. Some people call this corporate credit. People call it all different types of things. But my world, I call business credit real business credit, credit that you can get without putting your social on the application. So when you hear me talk about business credit, that's what I mean. Is your personal credit doesn't matter. You don't need to supply a social to get it. That's real business credit that's linked to your EIN and not your social. So only apply if you've taken the prior steps. Don't even think about taking the steps I'm about to teach you of getting real credit unless you've taken the prior steps to set up your business credibly. Once you've done so, you can apply at places like this. Uline. Uline sells, they sell shipping supplies, all different types of things that you can actually buy, packaging supplies, all those different types of things. You can also go to Quill and Gimplers. These places sell office supplies. You can go to a company called Monopolize Your Marketplace. They sell marketing supplies. Now, a couple things I want to note here. Uline and Quill. These sources are known for maybe you needing to apply once, twice, or 3 times to actually get approved. So if you follow the steps and you go to Uline and you try to apply for a business credit vendor account and they deny you, well, then don't worry about it. Just go ahead and buy $50 worth of stuff. You need to buy $50 worth of stuff to get it reported, $50 or more, and then come back and apply again. And if they deny you, then buy another $50 worth of stuff and apply again. Now, sometimes people get approved right away with no problem. Sometimes people have to come in and apply 2 or 3 times without their social to actually get approved for the account. So just keep that in mind. They may approve you right away. If they don't get frustrated. Continue your order, buy $50 or more with the stuff, come back a second time, come back a third time. But in a lot of cases, you can get approved without needing to apply 2 or 3 times. Another thing to note, Monopolize Your Marketplace used to be really good, offering really cheap services or marketing products. They had like a 5 CD program you could buy for a little bit of money and build business credit in the process. Nowadays, they sell a little bit more expensive marketing resources maybe you can use, but just keep in mind, it's not as cheap as it once was to get your initial credit with Monopolize Your Marketplace, because they don't sell just a cheap 4 CD set like they used to do in the past. Make sure any other sources you try to get approved for, report to the business reporting agencies. There's all types of vendors out there, all types of vendors. But here's what you need to know. 97% of them do not report to the business credit reporting agencies. So if people are coming in and telling you things about getting approved without or getting approved and how easy it is to get approved for vendor accounts, that's just not true. There's all kinds of vendor accounts you can get credit with, but most of them don't report. Over 97% of them don't report. So even if you get approved with those sources and they don't report, you're not really building business credit. And I talk to these people all the time. They come in to get business credit, and the problem they have is that they thought they had business credit established because they have credit with all these vendors, only to find out that none of those vendors actually report that credit. So use your credit to purchase $50 or more worth of items, or it won't report. Pay the bill quickly. We now know why. Because the Paydex score is based on how you pay. So you got to pay your bill on time, or as soon as you get it is what you really want to do. Or as soon as you can pay it, you want to pay it. That's going to get you in the 80 to 100 range. Remember, again, the Paydex score is all based on timely payments. So the key is to pay your bill as soon as you can to get the highest score. Okay, and why is that important? Because again, we're talking about computer systems that now approve you. So if a computer system looks, your business is set up credibly, they see 3, 4, 5 trade lines on there. Now the trade lines are reporting of an account like Uline on your credit report. And then they see you have an 85 Paydex score, boom. That computer in a lot of cases will automatically give you the approval just because your business is credible, you've got trade lines, you've got a good profile, you've got a good score because you paid your bills early. And that's what you're looking for. You don't want them to manually review your application. You want their computer to go check, 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 approved. And that's why we're going through these steps, because if you meet this criteria and follow these steps, that's what you'll end up getting in a lot of cases. So if you continue to pay your bills on time or early, your scores are going to be 85 to 100. We now know why, because all that score reflects is that you pay your bills timely. If you pay your bill on time, you'll have an 80 score. It takes 60 days on average for these accounts to report after you use the credit and pay the bill. So people ask me this question all the time. How long does it take to build business credit? And usually the first thing I do is I kind of laugh a little and say, hey, how long does it take you to build consumer credit? And they say, well, really, it never stops. I say, it's the same thing in the business world. It never stops. You never stop building credit. The only thing that defines time when it comes to building business credit is the time it takes for an account to report after you've paid the bill. So if you get a Uline account and you pay the bill on time, then you automatically, once those accounts get reported, will have a good score. How long does it take for those accounts to get reported? It takes up to 90 days, on average 60 days. So you can get an account right now with Uline. You can pay the bill on time. It can be on your report within 30 to 90 days. I like to say 60 days on average. As soon as 2 to 5 of those accounts get reported, that is when you'll actually get an excellent Paydex score. Okay, then that is what you'll use to start getting even more and more credit. So you want to make sure you monitor reports until you see these accounts on your report. You want to continue to use that credit each month during that time. So you don't want to just go get Uline, get an account, pay the bill, get $50 more worth of stuff and pay the bill. What you want to do is you do that, then you do it the next month, then you do it the next month. You want to continue that at least during that time frame that you're waiting for those accounts to get reported. So if it takes 2 or 3 months to report, go back to Uline 2, 3 times during that time to make sure you get your more credit and use more credit to make sure you actually pay your bill. Now let me say something else too. Look, you might choose to use Staples over Quill. But here's the way I look at this. If Quill is willing to give you a shot when nobody else will, Staples won't approve you for initial business credit. Quill will. So if you get credit with Quill, then you can also get revolving accounts in the future with Quill as well. So don't just use Quill just to get credit and abandon them and then move to Staples. You might want to continue to use Quill because they were there for you when other people weren't. That's just kind of how I am. I'm a loyalty guy. Okay, so like for example, when I first set up a business, my bank won't give me a merchant account, but yet other sources will. Then all of a sudden when I'm established, my bank wants me to give me their merchant account. I won't take their merchant account. I want to stick with the guys that gave me a shot when nobody else would. So just keep that in mind. Don't just use these sources to get credit on your report and then abandon them and go to other stores. Try to maybe stay loyal to them, continue to buy things from them, because again, they're probably selling it to you for the same or discounted price and they gave you a shot when other companies wouldn't. You've got to have 5 payment experiences to apply for the next step of store credit. A payment experience is the reporting of one account to the business reporting agencies. So if you have one account that reports to Dun & Bradstreet and Experian, that counts as 2 payment experiences. So the list I gave you earlier is more than 5 payment experiences because several of those report to multiple reporting agencies. So you've got to have 5 reportings of credit basically between the 3 reporting agencies. Now it's going to take at least 3 accounts reporting to get your actual Paydex score, as I mentioned. Okay, once you have that Paydex score and 5 of those accounts reporting, you're okay to start getting store credit. This is because many stores want to see that you have a good Paydex of 80 or higher to approve you. Remember, you got 3 accounts, you paid them on time or early, and then they get reported. That's what gives you that good score. So with 5 reported accounts, you can now apply for store credit. Most major retail stores will issue business credit without a personal guarantee, as we talked about earlier, but some do have stricter requirements than others. So for example, Staples, Home Depot, some of them require that you're in business for 2 or 3 years, have tons of credit to give you revolving credit. But most retailers out there, if you have good scores, profiles, some trade lines reported, will give you actual credit without a personal guarantee. With a total of 10 payment experiences, you can then start to apply for actual cash credit, which is Visa, MasterCard, that type of credit. These will come from Visa and MasterCard without a personal guarantee. Amex also offers no PG business credit, but they usually takes a lot of established credit or longer time in business to get Amex. Discover at this point in time no longer offers no personal guarantee business credit. And again, as I just mentioned, Amex will also help you with cash credit. It just takes longer to establish. So once you do this, keep continuing the same process. Apply and get more and more store credit. Apply and get more and more cash credit. Use that credit. Pay the bills timely, and then your limits are going to grow and grow and grow, and your ability to financing is going to grow as well. That's really the same as consumer credit. You get credit, you pay your bills, you make sure it reports to the reporting agencies, and in doing so, that's how your credit continues to grow, and grow. So that's exactly how you go through the process of getting an excellent Paydex score within 60 days or less. Okay, that's exactly how you continue building your business credit to get $5, $10, $20, $30,000 cash limit credit cards in multiples that you can use for any purpose possible without the personal guarantee, without the personal credit check. Also, keep in mind you're not alone. Okay, if you are interested in working with us, we can help you build your business credit. You get access to the best technology. If you've ever seen our system, we walk you through step by step through videos exactly how to do all of this. You get access to our actual support team, many of which have 5 to 20 years of business credit building experience that can help you even through screen sharing and other methods to actually help you through this process one-on-one. We've got all the vendor, the store credit, and the cash credit sources in our system, so you don't have to go looking for any of this information. It's all available in one place. You also can get your DUNS number, Experience Smart Business, 411 listing value. We help you. Again, the DUNS number is not free just through us. You can get it right through Dun Bradstreet. We just help you through that process. And we also have access to all different kinds of loans, whether you're just getting started as a startup, whether you have good credit, bad credit. We have all different kinds of financing, and we make it affordable. You can pay with one payment. You can pay with monthly payments if that's something you're interested in doing. And as part of your attendance today, if you even mention that you were on this webinar today and you talk to our team, then we give you a really cool discount as well. As a matter of fact, you'll find that it's cheaper to work with us than actually to build business credit on your own. And not only do we give you access to everything you need to do so, but we also give you access to all the sources that you're going to want access to and their underwriting guidelines. So instead of trying to figure out to apply for Lowe's or Staples, we tell you exactly what it takes to get approved with each source, so you'll know you can get approved before you apply. And in one click, you can even access them to actually apply. And we even give you videos in a lot of cases that walk you through the application process and will help you through screen share even walk through the actual steps of building business credit. So just keep that in mind. If you'd like to work with us, great. If not, I just mapped out the steps for you to be able to do so. Feel free to give us a ring. Our phone number is 877-600-2487. If one, you want to work with us, fantastic, give us a ring. Two, if you have questions about building business credit on your own, then hey, give us a call as well. Or feel free to info or email us, info@creditsuite.com, 877-600-2487, info@creditsuite.com. When we roll out a discount on a live show like this, it's for 48 hours. So you've got about a couple days that if you would like to work with us, talk to our team, get more insight, you are entitled to a free 30-minute business credit consultation. So we'll tell you what's on your Experian business report at absolutely no cost. We'll help you go to Dun Bradstreet, access your report directly with them, even go through your report with you, give you advice, talk to you about fixing inaccuracies, talk to you about what kind of financing you can and can't get, credit, et cetera, et cetera. We can do and will do all that with you on that consultation call. So feel free to email us, info@creditsuite.com. Give us a ring at 877-600-2487. I wish I had time for questions, but I don't. I've got about a minute before I absolutely have to get wrapped up. So let me just check the chat. I know you guys all been kind of talking and conversing the whole time. And so I'll try to get to anything I can. Well, if you start with a virtual address and later get a different physical address, you could definitely do that. You just want to change and make sure that your address is the same on all of your documents. You can also update that automatically online at places like iUpdate with D&B. In some states, the service is free. States like California, somebody else is responding to that. Thousands of companies. Yes, there are thousands of companies that offer net 30 accounts. But again, almost all of those don't report to the business reporting agencies. That is what you're looking for. If you have a virtual address, will D&B lump your DUNS number together with other companies at that address? Virtual addresses usually work with units, not actually that. So yes, you actually can do that. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up because I have a call coming in right now that I'm getting ready to jump onto another call. But yes, hopefully you got all the information you need here to build business credit. Feel free to reach out to us, info@creditsuite.com, 877-600-2487. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you learned and came out with a lot of actionable information. And also, hopefully you know now exactly how to get an excellent Paydex score in 60 days. And feel free to give us a ring and let us know what we can do to help. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.